Old soldiers never die. They just fade into opera singers. Opera singers? Well, that's a twist on Douglas MacArthur's famous quote, but in Jerry Curry's case, it's true. His unique story begins many years before singing opera.
The Korean War started, and I grew up in a steel town. In steel towns, people are very patriotic, and when a war came, all the young men went down and signed up and joined the Army or Air Force, Navy, and went into the service. I went in the Army as a private. My intention was to put in 3 years and to get out and go to college. I wanted to be a college professor. Specifically, I wanted to teach history and music. I just love those two subjects.
Those original 3 years somehow stretched into 34. Jerry began his impressive military career as an Army private, became an officer in Korea, then an aviator, paratrooper, a ranger, and worked his way up to Major General. He flew helicopters and reconnaissance planes in Vietnam. His troop assignments were often abroad, where he and his wife Charlene raised 4 children. Jerry held posts in 2 presidential administrations, and somewhere in the middle of all that, earned bachelor, master's, and doctoral degrees. Now you're getting the picture of what kind of man this is. Where do you think that strong sense of duty came from?
I think a couple of places. My Christian upbringing and my family, mother and father. They were both very strong people, and they had very strong convictions, and they were people of great purpose.
Jerry and his family have been a lot of places, seen a lot of things, but he's candid about the cost.
A lot of wear and tear on your family, and so you can be tenacious, which you have to be, of course, to continue and to be successful as I was. But at the same time you're doing that, you've got to always be looking at your family and say, you know, what hardships am I wrecking on my children and on my wife and on me and on our marriage?
How do you keep things together with that kind of a schedule and that kind of a...
You do a lot of praying, and I say that, and it's not casual. I mean, you do a lot of praying. You do a lot of Bible reading, and you spend a lot of time sort of introspectively looking at what you are, who the family is, what you're doing. This takes thought.
The Currys had to uproot the kids and move more than 30 times, yet Jerry still sees the benefit.
The Arabs have a saying that all sunshine makes a desert. It's the hard things in life that make you a better person, I think, if you overcome them properly, if you handle them properly.
I asked Jerry if after such a stellar military career, he felt like a fish out of water as a civilian.
No, I didn't. I had about a 24-hour adjustment leaving the service. The reason was I'd been in 34 years, and I had done everything I really felt I wanted to do in the service. It had been good to me. I think I had worked hard and been good for the service, and it was time to leave. When I left the military, there were lots of eager young colonels waiting for me to leave so they could be generals.
After a few years in the private sector, Jerry decided to run for Congress in Virginia. What was your motivation?
I just thought that many years of experience that I had, it was pretty clear that I would probably end up on the House Armed Services Committee. That was the direction I was going. I had talked to Senator Warner about it, and I thought I could do a lot for Virginia because it has a very large military population.
Jerry was not elected to Congress, but he was later appointed to head the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
What we were able to find as we looked through is we could actually do things in the regulatory sense that would actually save lives. When I took over the agency, one of the U.S. senators called it a comic book agency, and when I left, that same senator said this is one of the finest agencies in the government.
Jerry returned to the private sector in 1992 as a business consultant. He combines the rich variety of skills he's acquired over a lifetime. And now for that twist we told you about.
I'll walk with God, I'll take His hand.
I've sung all my life, for personal enjoyment in choirs, always in church choirs. And so I really enjoy singing. I love music. I've studied music. When all these people started telling me, you really have a world-class opera voice, I thought they had lost their minds. And as you get older, you don't have many growing experiences. There aren't a whole lot of new things that cause you to grow.
Jerry began serious vocal training and even attended an intensive seminar at New York's Metropolitan Opera. Oh, and just so that he'd have a real growing experience, he also produced and recorded a CD. He calls it Generally Singing.
And so for me, it's been a stretching, a building exercise. I learn new things about my voice every week. I'm working my way through it, but it's a new experience. It's been years since I have felt insecure about anything.
Jerry is also writing an autobiography called Generally Speaking. He has a lot to say on the subject of success because he's lived it.
When you come from that kind of a background, that is your real hardcore blue-collar background. With that kind of a background, I went in the Army, I had a high school education, I got on my college at night. When you've done all of those kinds of things and your life has sort of moved down these kinds of roads, you are appreciative of anything good that happens in your life. Even if you can't see the end, and I couldn't see the end, many things that I did, you have to believe in your heart that God really is going to help you get there, and that if He wants you to be successful, you will be successful. You have to believe that. No matter how difficult it is, no matter how humble your beginnings, you can do a lot of things, and you can be very, very successful in whatever you're doing. And there are just some basic principles, and among those, of course, is having a spiritual basis, an anchor in God.